Connection established.
Hey guys, welcome to the Big Data Show, and this is the continuation video of the last video which we have created. So you can find the link of the first video in the descriptions, or I will try tagging it here. So you can just see the descriptions, or you can just watch the video which is tagged above. Okay, so in this part of series we are trying to solve problems, and we are trying to write PySpark code and trying to solve some real world problem using SQL first and then writing PySpark code. And target audience of this particular video are those people who are trying to learn PySpark or trying to practice PySpark. Okay, so without wasting time, let's move ahead and let's try to solve the next part of the problem. In the previous problem statement, previous video, we have seen that there was one table related to badminton, a badminton court, and we have solved some problems. So in this problem, we are going to solve this particular problem. Okay, so if you can see that we are having one table with the name court, right? So let me just highlight it. Okay, and which has 4 columns: user id 1, kit id 1, login date, and session count. I'm again repeating, if you have not seen this previous video, please go and watch this previous video, or you can even watch this video, but this is the continuation of the previous video. Cool. So here we have to write a solutions to report the device that is first login for each player. Okay, and in this particular table, user id and login date is the primary key of this table, and this table records the session of user who visit the badminton court. Okay, so we have to write a solutions to report the device that is first login for each player. Well and good. So in our previous video we have seen how to apply Windows function, right? So here we have to, if we look through the table once, let me just show you the table. If you see the table once, here for user id 1, okay, sorry, for user id 1 has used 2 device or kit, right? 2, right? Same way user id 2 has only used 1 device, and user id 3 has used 1 and 4th, right? So user id 1 has used kit id 2 on this particular date, right? 2016 1st of March, right? And user id 1 has also used user kit id 2 on another day, right? 2nd of May. So what is the first kit id for user id 1? So first kit id for user id 1 is kit id 2. Same way for user id 2 it is 3, and for user id 3 the kit id is 1, right? So if we are seeing this problem, you will able to guess it, like we have to apply some window, right? Because we want to find the first device of each user. So if we apply some window, then we can easily solve this problem. So what we can do, we will firstly apply a partition by user id, right? If we apply partition by user id, then this will become one partition, right? Like this user id 1 will become one window for me, then this will become another window for me, right? And this will become another window for us. So we will have 3 windows, and out of these 3 windows we have to find the first device id, right? So what we can do, then we can apply partition by user id, and we can say that order by login date ascending. And if we apply function like rank, what this will do, if we apply function like rank over this, so for it will create one new column, right? It will create one new column. Let's call it rank. Okay, so for user id 1, We have done partition by user ID for this particular window, and if you are applying order by, so what will be the value of this rank, this column? It will be 1, and for this particular row it will be 2, right? And for this particular window it has only one row, so it will be 1, right? And for this particular window, the first rows will be 1 and another row will be 2. And if we say, after applying this, if we say, and if we filter rank is equal to 1, right? If we filter rank is equal to 1, then we will get this row, we will get this row, and we will also get this row, right? So this will give us the correct result, and we can just select user ID and kit ID. Well and good. So this is very easy problem. I hope now you are getting what is the use of Windows function. In previous video which we recorded for more than 40 minutes, I've tried to explain the beauty of Windows functions and why this is used that much in data engineering. And even in data engineering interview, if you go and they will be asking scenario based problems which will involve Windows function like rank, dense rank, lead or lag. So if you don't know these Windows functions, try reading. It's very simple concept, and I've also explained it here also. So if we try writing the code, what we will be write? We will write, firstly we will create one city, right? Because we have to create new column. We can either use city. What is city? City will create one temporary table in layman terms, right? And even we can use subquery, but I am not a fan of subquery, so I can use a city and call this as a rank table. This we have already done, right? And we will say select star comma rank partition by user ID comma order by login date. By default this is ascending only, but let me just call it, and then we can say as rn. I'm just naming this column, right? From what is our column table code, okay? And then we can say select user ID comma kit ID from our temporary table. What is the name of our temporary table? Rank table, right? So we can say rank table where rank is equal to 1. This is our rank column, right? So if you have seen this statement, then we will get the required result, right? So this is very easy for us, and I hope you are getting the beauty, because I've already explained in the previous video, so that's why I'm not explaining it again, but this is very simple only. So this will be the solution using SQL. Let's try solving this same problem using PySpark. Okay, how to solve this problem using SQL? Now it's time to do our main work, that is to solve this problem using PySpark. Okay, so let's try watching this. So here I have already told you, right, in our previous video I have already shown you that I have generated one input table, right? So input table, and I am using Google Colab to write my PySpark code. So we have already generated input table for you, and I have already written one code which is initiating a Spark sessions and defining the schema, then defining the data, and then I have created one input data frame, and this is my input data frame, right? So same way in our previous problems, for finding the, what was our previous problem? Our previous problem was to write a query to determine the earliest login date of each user. This we have covered in our previous video, right? In this particular problem, new problem, what is asked? We have been asked, just 1 minute please. We have been asked to write a solutions to report the badminton kit that is first login for each player, right? This is the same problem only. In previous problem, I have made you understand that how to use the Windows function, right? So same thing in our SQL only also we have done. So we can simply copy paste our Windows function, right? We can simply copy paste, or we can even write it here. Like this is the the place we have defined our Windows spec, right? Here the partitions by is the user ID and order by login date, and by default it is ascending only, and then we are creating one rank column, right? And after that what we will do, we will simply say, instead of login date, we will simply find the kit ID. Well, good. Or we can say alias first kit used by player, something like that. Okay. And if we run this code, we are able to see, right? So user ID 1 has used kit ID 2 and user ID 2 has used kit ID 3, and because if you can see the input table, it has only one rows, right? So that particular user ID has used only one kit, badminton kit, and for user ID 3, this particular person has used two kit. First on this particular date, which is kit ID 1, and then on second after 2 years, first on 2016 and then in 2018, and that particular user ID 3 has used kit badminton kit 4. Okay, and so we can here rank is equal to 2, right? So we can simply filter it out and we will get the result. I hope you are getting the beauty of this, and I will suggest you to write this code, because if you are beginner, writing code will help you a lot. Don't just listen it, try to write the code. This codes might look simple, but with coming time we will be trying increasing the complexity. We are trying to keep it beginner friendly right now, but with times we are going to create the complexity. In next course, let's try solving the next problem statement. Okay, let's move to the next problem statement, and if you can see our screen, then our next problem statement is to write a solution to report for each player and date how many games played so far by the player, right? So till now we have seen our input table has 4 columns, right? User ID 1, user ID, kit ID, login date and session count. And what this problem statement is asking, it is asking us to find the games or session played by each user till that date. And this is also a classic problem of Windows function. Okay, here what we have to do, we have to apply sum but over the window, and in that window, what will be our partition column? We will apply partition on user ID, and then we will say order by on login date ascending, and if we do the sum, it will start doing sum from the top. For example, firstly if we do, or if we apply window, right? So what we will write? We will write partition by user ID. So it will create one window, right, for each particular user ID. So this will become one window, right? Then this will become another window, right? Then this will become another window. Perfect. And if we say partition by order ID, and if we say order by login date ascending, right? And then if we apply sum and do sum over this particular window, right? So this will do sum like this, right? So if we apply sum and sum on this particular window where the partition by is on user, where the partition by on user ID, right, and order by on login date ascending. So if we do this, so it will create one running sum, right? So it will create one running sum, one new column, right? Let's call this as a running sum. Running sum. Well and good. So here for this particular row, as we have done partition by on user ID, so this particular window, for this particular row, the sum will be 5. But for next row, it will be 5 plus 6, which will be 11. Same way, it will be for this particular row, it will be 1, because it has only one row for this particular window. If we go to this particular window, so the first date is this and second date is this, right? So the running sum will be 0 here and then running sum will be 5 here. If you can see the explanation also, if I just zoom the explanation, if you can see the explanation for the player ID 1, it is 5 plus 6, right? 5 plus 6, 11, till which date? Till this date, right? Then for player ID 2, this is 1, and player ID 3, this is 0 plus 5, right? 0 plus 5. And fortunately our input table is like that only, is ordered by on login date itself. But even if it is not ordered by, because we are applying order by, it will be calculated like this. So I hope this is clear to you. So for this, if you want to write the query, how we will write this query? We will say simply select, okay, and in the final output we need these columns, right? So we will say select player ID comma event date, and we will apply sum, and we will not apply sum directly, right? We will apply sum over some window, right? We will say over, and then we will say, just 1 minute, let me write it clearly. Partition by on which column? User ID, and order by which particular date? So which particular column? Login, right, date, and we will say ascending, well, and then we will simply complete it, and we will say alias as games played so far, games played so far, okay, cool. From, what is our table name? This is code, right? So this will be like this, right? So what is this will do? This will create one new column with the column name games played so far, and it will calculate like this. I hope this SQL is clear to you. So this is very simple if you know how Windows function work. Okay, let's move and let's try solve this problem using PySpark. Problem using SQL. Now let's try solving the same problem using our PySpark, which is our main goal. So let me explain the question again. So here we are having one input table with the name code, and we have to find the games played by each user until that day, right? So here we have seen for user ID 1, for this particular row it will be 5, but for next row for this particular date it will be 11, because 5 plus 6 11, and same way for 3 it will be 0 for this particular row, but for this particular row it will be 5, right? We have also seen the explanations. We have written the SQL code also, and how we have solved it. This is the classic case of Windows function, right? So here we will apply the sum, and then we will apply sum on that particular window. So if you want to write this PySpark code, what we will do, we will like simply define our window spec, which we have defined in all our existing problem in the previous problems, and we will say window dot partition by, I might be wrong with the syntax, but let me write it down, and it will be user ID, right? And then it will be order by, and it will be order by and login date. Our column date is login date, right? Perfect. And then we will say, we will define one data frame, let's call it running df, and we will say df dot with column, and we have to we will call this column like this, games played so far. Perfect. And then we will apply the sum functions, and we will apply sum functions over a window, right? Over, and then we will say window spec, whatever we have defined, right? Window spec. Perfect. And sum of what? we have to apply sum of session count, right? So we will do session count. Perfect. Let me just running df dot show, and before running df, let's do this order by. Order by is not required, but just to show you the result in the proper way, let me just do user id and then do just 1 minute, user id, and then we will say login date. Perfect. Let's run this code. Syntax might be wrong. Okay, we have got some wrong syntax. What is this? Unsupported type for int and string. Okay, so some I've already written. Okay, so sorry. So this is like we have to import f.sum, because sum is already a one function in Python. So we have to import the 𝗲𝗶_sum, which we have imported here. Like 1 minute, we have imported here as a function, right? So we have to do f.sum. Okay, so that's why we have to do f.sum. So syntax by it is wrong, but otherwise it will be correct. Let's try running it and let's see the output. So for user id 1, the games played is 5, and for next row it will be 11, and for this particular row, for this particular window where there is only one row, it will be 1, and for user id 3, the firstly it will be 0, and after that 0 plus 5 it will be 5. And before doing this, we can even write the select statement, right? We are whatever column we want, we can write the select statement, and we can just select the required column like this. Perfect. Login date, and then we can say games played so far. Perfect. Let's run it again. So this is very easy problem, right? This is very easy problem. It's just that you should know window function, you should know how to apply it. That's it. And yeah, we have got the output. I hope this is clear. Next, let's move to the next problem statement and try solving little more complex problem. Till now, most of the problem, according to me, were really easy. Now let's solve some more interesting problems. Okay, so let's try one more interesting problem. Let's try solving it, and we will try explaining it by SQL, and then solve it using PySpark. So let's try solving the problem. So we are using the same badminton code table, and it has the same columns: user ID, kit ID, login date, and session count. What we have to find out, that if a user is visiting for the first time, and if that particular user also visited the next day after visiting for the first time, then we have to find that user. So this is very interesting problem, right? So if you are owner of badminton code or any sport complex, you want to find those type of users who are coming for the first time and again they are coming for the next time, right, on the next consecutive day. Let me read the query also. So we have to write a solution to report the player that is logged in again on the day after the first day they first logged in. In other words, you need to find the player ID that is logged in for the at least 2 consecutive days starting from their login date. Very simple, right? And how we can solve this problem? We will firstly break down this problem. So our main goal is to first find the first login date of each user, right? And we are using Windows function right now, so we will also think from Windows function itself, because in Windows function we will not lose other column information, right? And the number of rows will also not decrease. So we will firstly focus on finding the first login date of each user. Okay, and how can we do that? We will firstly apply minimum of login date over partition by user ID. Let's call this as first login, right? So if we apply partition by on user ID, so this particular, for user ID 1, this will create in one window, right? For user ID 2, it will have another window because we have partitioned by using user ID, right? For user ID 3, it will be create another window, right? And if we apply these functions, this will create a new function, new row, right? Let me just draw it. Let's call this as first login, right? So let me just zoom it a little bit. So for user ID 1, what is the first login? First login is 2016 1st of March, right? This particular thing, right? This is the first login. For user ID 2, what is the first login? User ID has only visited for 1 day, so this will be the first login. For user ID 3, what is the first login? User ID 3, this will be the first login, right? So for in first login column, what we will have? So here for user ID 1, we will have 2016 0301, and for row number 2 also the value will be same, right? For user ID 2, it will be 2017 0625. For user ID 3, it will be 2016 0302, and next row will also have same value. Well and good. So we are able to find the first login of each user, and we are able to create one new column, right? And now our goal is to find the lead. Lead is also one type of Windows function. Let me write the code, you will understand it. It's very easy. What we will do, we will apply lead of login date over, and we will say again do partition by user ID, comma, order by login date. By default this is ascending only, but I am writing it down. Okay, we will call this as lead date. What this will do? It will find the lead date of each date, right? Lead date of each login date for that particular user. So for here, for this particular date, what is the lead? Lead of this is this, right? But the lead of this particular rows is null, right? So let me firstly write this down, then we will understand, right? Let me just hide it a little bit. Okay, so let's call this as lead date. Well and good. What we will do, for lead of this date, what lead of this date is this, right? So it will be 2016 0302. But user ID 2 has not visited for the next time, it has only visited 2 times, right? So there is no lead of this particular row, so it will be null. Okay, user ID 2 has only visited 1 time, so lead of this will be also null. For lead of user ID 3, this particular date, the lead will be this, right? Because we have done order by login date ascending, right? So it will be 2016 03, sorry, 2018. Let me just erase it. 2018 0703, and for this particular row it will be, it has not visited next time, so it will be null, right? Now what is our goal? We want to find out the user who has visited for the first time and also visited for the next day. So if we do lead date, if we find the difference between lead date minus first login, we will get the result or not. So there is one function which is known as datedef in PySpark, or even in SQL also it is there. So different, like MySQL will have some different functions name, Postgres will have different function name, right? So if we do this, then what we will get? We will get the correct result, because if we do minus of this, then it will be 1, right? But this will be cannot be calculated, right? So this will be some dummy value, right? This will also be some dummy value, right? Here it will come some days, but more, but greater than 1, right? It will be also be some dummy value, right? So in this way, if we just filter out the date where the date difference is equal to 1, we will get the correct result or not. I hope you are getting it, right? So this is very easy problem. So I am not writing SQL code for this. We will directly write the PySpark, because now we are getting familiar with the PySpark code. So let's try writing the PySpark code directly. But I hope you are clear. Firstly, what we have to do, we have to firstly find the first login. How can we do that? We will apply minimum function and do apply minimum function on the partitions. What is the partition? Partition by user ID, right? Then we will apply the lead functions, and there we will do partition by user ID, and then do order by login date, right? And then we will find the difference between lead date minus first login, and if the difference is 1, it means that that particular person has visited for the next after visiting for the first time, he has also visited next day. Well and good. So I hope this is clear. So we will simply write the PySpark code of this. I am skipping the writing SQL. Okay, cool. Let's try writing the SQL. Let's try writing the code into PySpark, which is our main code. Okay, so I've already created input tables for the previous problem, and I've also created input table for this problem also. So I've just changed some of the data to make this problem interesting and make it like more intuitive. Okay, so let me, I've already run this code. So this is my input table. This we have already seen in out while we are solving the problem using SQL, right? So how we can solve this problem? So what we have said, that we will firstly focus on creating first login, and how we have found the first login. We have found the first login by applying the minimum functions over Windows, right? So let's do that. So let's say required table or required df is equal to input df dot with column, right? And then we will create one column with the name first login, right? And how we will find this first login? We will apply minimum of, we have loaded the minimum as from function, so we want to use a Spark SQL function. We will do f dot minimum, then we will say login date, right? And we will be doing over one partition, right? So partition by, 1 minute please, I'm writing the spelling wrong, over partition by, just let me check the spelling once more. We have defined it above, right? Just 1 minute. I'm just looking through the syntax once. Oh, we should do like this. I'm writing the SQL syntax. Okay, so we will be doing over window dot partition by of what? User ID, right? This will be our first column. Let me first show it to you. Required df dot show, right? Let's see the input table. So input table is this. We have got the first login. So first login date of user ID 1 is this. So for second row also it will be this. For user ID 2 has only one row, so it will be this. For user ID 3, this will be this, because user ID 3 has visited firstly in 2016. So for both the row it will be this, right? So after this we have to also apply the lead function, right? We have discussed this in while we are solving the problem using normal SQL. We will say this as lead date. Let's reformat little bit the code, and we will say f dot lead, right? Lead of login date. And what does lead do? it will simply find the lead of that, right, over that window, and we will define our window. What is our window? Window dot, let me just copy paste only, just copy the code and paste it here, and then we will say order by login date, right? By default this is ascending only, we don't need to mention, right? Let's run this code now. Now we will see the login date, the lead date of this particular rows is this, right? So you are able to find, but after that user ID 2 has not visited after this particular date, so it will be null. So user ID 2 has only visited for only one, so it will be null only, right? So for user ID 3, just 1 minute, for user ID 3, so first login date is this, right? So we will be simply getting lead date of this will be this, so we will be getting this, and the user ID 3 is also not visited more than 2 times, right? So it will be null, right? And what we have to do next, we have to filter the data where, and I have told you we have one date diff function, like you can simply say PySpark date differences, you will get some link. So I have just, you can go to this link, this is my go-to website, so you will be able to find the code here. What they are using date diff function, right? So you can also use the date diff function. So we will also use date diff function, and we have imported function spark function as f. So we will say f dot date diff, and we will say if the date diff lead date minus first login, right? First login is equal to 1, then this, I think I have not closed the bracket correctly, right? Then that will be our value. So let me just run the query. Perfect. So we are able to get the required result. So there is only one user who has visited consecutive day after visiting for the first time from our input data. So we have got the result, right? So we can write the select query also. Select user ID. Let's run the code again. So we will get the required result. So this is very, very easy. So today we have done sport analysis of our badminton code tables. So these are the problems. It's very interesting problems, right? It started from very beginning. What was our first problem? Our first problem was to find, this was our first problem, right? We wanted to find the first earliest login date of each user, right? Here we have seen that it can be solved using group by and then applying minimum function, and it can also be solved by using Windows function, right? Using Windows function. So and we have at that day we told we thought that what is the use of Windows function? This problem is so simple. We can simply apply group by and then we can simply apply minimum. But I have told you to keep patience with you because in the subsequent problem it will be very, very easy. So in the next problem, what was the next problem? Next problem, we wanted to find the first kit ID, the first badminton kit that is used by each user. So we have seen that for solving this problem, window functions came very, very handy, and we actually solved the problem using the same solutions, right? So using the same rank functions, and then we have simply got the kit ID. Because the benefit of Windows function, it will not lose the other column information. That's why it's very, very much used in data engineering world, right? The next problem, but we wanted to find the running sum, right? Running sum till that date. Here also we have applied sum, and then we have applied the Windows function. So we applied one Windows. There we have applied a partition by, then we have done order by, right? So this was the running sum problem. This was also very interesting. Then what we have tried to find, the user which login for the first day, and that user also login for the next day, and that was also very interesting problem. How we have solved this problem? We have solved this problem by firstly finding the first login and then applying the lead date. If you observe it clearly, so this first login we already calculated it in the first problem statement. As I was explaining you, so I have again calculated it. But in real world, people will not recalculate it because it's already there. It's already there in their existing data frame. So they will simply apply this lead date function, and then they will apply the date differences, and then they will get the result. That's why I was focusing more on the window function, not using group by directly, because I would be losing the other column information, and my number of rows will also decrease. So I hope this has made some good impact in your learning, and you will be able to write PySpark code. In our upcoming sessions, we are planning lot more problems where we will trying to solve the problem using PySpark. And in the coming videos, we will also talk about some of the theoretical concepts. This video, this was the first video, so mostly I was focusing on analysis. But in coming video, we will be also focusing on the theoretical concepts. Like I will write some code and we will try to understand it more theoretically, go more theoretically deeper, right? But I have also created one more interesting problem for you, which I am not solving it here. I will pin down the problem statement in my descriptions box. You can see that problem statement and try solving it by yourself. I hope that will help you, and goodbye for now. Let's meet in the next video and do some more analysis, more data analysis using the PySpark, and let's learn the PySpark. And in this is the way of learning. Only reading theory will not help you. Read the theory, write the code. That's the best way of learning. Okay, I've talked a lot. It's very long video right now. I'm stopping the video, but please subscribe the channel so we will be feel motivated, and please like, comment and share this channel with your friends, those who are learning data engineering or data analysis using PySpark, and that will actually motivate us, and we will able to like upload more video in the coming days. Thank you for now. Keep learning and keep growing.